There is a force stronger than anger. There is a power quieter than noise. When the world screams, the strongest among us listen. When chaos demands your answer, the wise choose silence. You may think silence is weakness, the absence of voice, the retreat of courage. You have been taught to speak up, to fight back, to prove yourself. But what if I told you silence is a weapon and a shield, sharper than any retort and stronger than any shout? What if silence is the secret most champions use when the stakes are highest? This is not about being passive. This is not about letting life push you around. This is the art of choosing your moment, controlling your center, and using silence to turn the situation to your advantage. Stay with me. By the end of this video you will know why silence equals strength, how to practice it, and how to use it, in arguments, in the workplace, in relationships, and in the private battles you fight every day. We react because reacting is easy. Emotions arrive like weather, sudden gusts of wind, lightning-fast flashes that push us into action. Our brains evolved to respond to threats quickly. A loud voice, an insult, an attack, all trigger the ancient alarm systems. Imagine you are on a stage and someone throws a rotten tomato. Your first instinct, flinch, reply, defend, retaliate. That flinch comes from the amygdala, the emotional guard dog, which often overrides the thinking parts of the brain. Reaction is immediate. Reflection is slower. Reacting feels righteous. It feels like justice. You speak and for a moment you win. You defended yourself, you made your point, the tension releases. But that release is temporary. Rarely does reactive energy produce lasting advantage. Reacting hands control to the stimulus. When you react, you are ruled by the person or event that triggered the response. The conversation becomes theirs. The argument becomes theirs. The outcome is dictated by the initial attack. Strong people have learned this. Control the reaction, control the moment. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the exercise of restraint. It is the deliberate choice to conserve force until the right moment. The Stoics taught it centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." Silence is a Stoic discipline. It is a muscle you train. It lets you separate stimulus from response. Instead of handing over your moment to someone else's drama, you create space. That space is where clarity lives. Modern leaders do this too. In high-level negotiations, the most dangerous move is a rushed reply. Take a breath, let the other side fill the silence, watch their face, and note what they reveal when you don't speak. People panic when their words hang in the air with no rebuttal. They often reveal their hand. Silence forces people to continue speaking, to explain themselves, to fill the void. In that filling, they expose weaknesses. This tactic is not manipulation, it's discipline. It is the refusal to escalate every provocation into a war. The strongest people use silence as gravity. It bends the situation toward their favor. Reacting costs you time, energy, reputation, and peace. Words spoken in anger cannot be swallowed back. Social media rambles create permanent records. A quick retaliation can escalate a small problem into a blowout. When you react, you lose perspective. Decisions made in the heat of emotion prioritize relief over wisdom. You will sacrifice long-term gains for short-term comfort. Further, constant reaction sends a message. You are available to be provoked. People learn what buttons to press. You become predictable. And predictability is a luxury your rivals will exploit. Silence, by contrast, is confusing to the person trying to draw you out. They expect fireworks. You give them calm. That unexpected response undermines their strategy. Real-life examples: the negotiator. A veteran negotiator sits across from an aggressive counterpart. The counterpart raises their voice, slams a fist, attempts to rattle. The negotiator does not flinch. He listens. He nods. When asked, he offers 3 quiet sentences that turn the conversation. The counterpart, frustrated at the lack of reaction, reveals concessions. The silent negotiator walks away with the better deal. The leader in crisis. There's a CEO on a stage. A scandal breaks. The CEO could scream defiance, deny everything, attack the press. Instead, she stands quietly, acknowledges the facts, expresses calm commitment to the truth, and promises action. Her silence in the face of hysteria steadies the market and her employees. The athlete. A boxer getting taunted in the ring. Imagine the crowd, the insults. The boxer keeps his face neutral, eyes locked, breathing slow. The other fighter gets frustrated, loses focus, chases punches, and opens himself up. Silence becomes the boxer's ally, composure that turns provocation into advantage. The personal story. A young man is insulted by a friend at a party. He feels the sting. His first urge is to respond, to match insult with insult. Instead, he leaves the room, sits in his car, breathes, and writes a calm message later. The reply is measured, clear, and earns respect. The immediate urge to retaliate would have cost him the moral high ground. Silence does 3 psychological things. 1. It creates space, mental distance from immediate emotion. 2. It observes. You collect data, notice tone, body language, intent. 3. It recalibrates. You choose a response aligned with values, not impulses. Neurologically, silence gives the prefrontal cortex time to engage. That's where reasoning lives. When you delay, you activate higher thinking. You also reduce the stress response. Cortisol drops, heart rate slows, and clarity returns. Socially, silence signals confidence. People confuse noise with authority. In reality, noise often covers uncertainty. Quiet authority is steady, unshakable. It says, "I do not need to prove myself now." Silence is a skill. Like any skill, you practice it. Here are practical, step-by-step methods to make silence your default response when appropriate. Technique 1. The pause, 0 to 10 seconds. When provoked, count to 10 internally. Feel the breath. Hold your jaw. Let the urge to reply pass. This short pause is powerful. It reduces emotional escalation and gives you the choice to speak or remain silent. Technique 2. The question. Turn attack into inquiry. If someone attacks you, ask a clarifying question. Can you explain what you mean? Or, why do you say that? By asking, you slow the pace and put the burden on the other person to elaborate. Questions are quiet weapons. They redirect energy into explanation. Technique 3. The reflective mirror. Repeat what the other person said in neutral terms. So what I hear is... This forces accuracy and shows you are listening. It also gives them the chance to correct themselves. Oftentimes, once forced to clarify, an attacker loses steam. Technique 4. Timeout exit. If emotions are high, remove yourself physically. Say, I want to continue this, but I need 5 minutes. Leave. Sit down. Breathe. Return with clarity. Technique 5. Strategic silence. In negotiations or meetings, use silence after making an offer. State your terms and then say nothing. The silence will push others to fill the gap, often with concessions. Technique 6. The low tone. When you speak, lower your voice. Quiet speech commands attention. It forces listeners to lean in. You do not need volume to be heard, you need presence. Technique 7. Practice daily. Start small. Hold silence during small annoyances. The cashier who is slow, the car that cuts you off, the colleague who takes credit. The practice builds resilience for bigger moments. Let's practice. Pause in the spoken rendition to allow breathing and silence. 1. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4, exhale for 6. 2. Think of a recent small insult. Someone cutting you off, a snide comment. Notice the bodily reaction. Heat in your face? Clenched jaw? 3. Imagine the urge to respond. Now count silently to 10. Do not speak. 4. As you breathe, say to yourself, I choose my response. Feel the space widen. 5. Open your eyes. Write one sentence that you would send later, calm, direct, truthful. This practice trains the brain to choose, rather than react. Silence is powerful, but it is not always the right tool. There are moments when silence becomes collusion. When boundaries are violated repeatedly, when injustice is present, or when safety is threatened, silence can be harmful. Use silence as strategy, not as avoidance. If a relationship is toxic, silence alone will not fix it. You must pair silence with action, distance, conversation at the right time, clear boundaries, or public statements when necessary. Silence is not the same as suppression. Suppression buries emotions, strategic silence channels them. Over time, people notice patterns. Those who choose silence in moments of provocation project strength. They become dependable under pressure. Their words carry weight because they are used sparingly. A leader who speaks less, but with purpose, shapes culture. Teams trust such leaders. Friends rely on them. Enemies hesitate. Reputation compounds. Every controlled response adds to your credibility. Every unmeasured reaction subtracts from it. Want respect? Earn it by restraint. Silence is also identity work. It changes how you see yourself. Begin by noticing triggers. Where do you lose calm? Which relationships push you into reaction? List them privately. Then choose experiments, practice pauses, ask questions, or create timeouts in those contexts. Keep a journal. Each time you hold silence, write down what happened and how you felt. Over weeks, you'll notice patterns. Growth becomes visible. Adopt small rituals, morning breath work, a midday walk, and evening reflection. These rituals protect your center and make silence natural, not forced.